Hey, I'm Paula from paulapassionatelyproclaims, and this is my husband Andrew.
Hello.
And we are doing our Bible study tonight, Think on These Things, and we are back in Ezekiel. We're doing, it's kind of a long one, a longish one, and it's
a bit weird.
Yeah, it's got some interesting stuff in it. So, but we're going to be covering chapters 4 through 7. So, yeah, did you want to pray quickly before we get started?
Yes. Thank you, Lord, for this day, God. Thank you for your word. As we go through this today, we ask that you give us wisdom on this and understanding, God, and how to apply to our lives today in this time of, in the season of what's going on in the world. We say this in your holy name and believe Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so if you hear a little kitty meowing, it's Fern. She's in her moody
time.
Moody Judy. She's being Moody Judy today. So yeah, she was the other day too, just in a foul mood.
Horrible mood.
Yeah. So we stuck her in the bedroom. And so she's kind of hollering now. So if you hear her, that's what she's just fussing.
Yep.
Just being moody pants. So, okay. But her brother's in there with her, and they get along very well, so they're not, she's not in any trouble or anything like that. Yeah. She's got a friend. Okay. So chapter 4, Ezekiel. Here we go. Honestly, I'm not so sure that I'm quite ready for this because it's so interesting.
You should read mine.
I don't want to. I'm reading out of the NLT and he's got the King James and I just don't do King James. A sign of the coming siege, chapter 4. And now, son of man, take a large clay brick and set it down in front of you. Then draw a map of the city of Jerusalem on it. Show the city under siege. Build a wall around it so no one can escape. That'd be a scary thought, that you can't escape a city that's under siege. Set up the enemy camp and surround the city with siege ramps and battering rams. Then take an iron griddle and place it between you and the city. Turn toward the city and demonstrate how harsh the siege will be against Jerusalem. This will be a warning to the people of Israel. Now, lie on your left side and place the sins of Israel on yourself. You are to bear their sins. For the number of days you lie there on your side, I am requiring you to bear Israel's sins for 390 days. 1 day for each year of their sins. After that, turn over and lie on your right side for 40 days. 1 day for each year of Judah's sin. I think that's kind of interesting.
I think you'd get bed sores.
You would think. Like, really? Because I know if I'm laying, just having a lazy day or whatever, and laying in bed for too long, oh man, if you're like a side sleeper like I am, man, your hips start hurting, your shoulders, and just like, oh man.
I mean, was he allowed getting up and, using the potty?
Well, see, I'm not sure. And the reason why I say that is because of something coming up.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure.
And also, it's like he would get atrophy if you lay down too long.
Yeah.
The atrophy sets in even after like 3-4 days. It starts to activate.
Well, and not only that, too, but then I saw, was it Mr. Beast or something? A video where he was like buried alive.
Oh, yeah, in a coffin.
Yeah.
Like big glass
and then they
coffin.
it was for what, 3 days or was it 5 days? Something
like that.
Something like that. I can't remember. Doesn't really matter. But for however long. And they had medical professionals there on site at the end when they were taking him out just to make sure that he didn't like
stand up
and have
and
like
get a blood clot or something.
Yeah, exactly. So like, well, would that be sort of similar?
And
like, would he? I mean, obviously, if God's telling you to do something, he's going to take care of you so that nothing happens to you.
Yeah, but you still think you'd get.
But still,
sore.
though, yeah, and especially if you are doing it because of you are bearing the sins of Israel and Judah. You know, so it's trying to make a point, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to be Ezekiel.
No, and that's the thing, too. Like, my mind, my little human pea brain, okay, can't really comprehend why God is making Ezekiel one man. Now, okay, all right, hold up. Okay, shut up. I'm cutting that out. Oh, man. Dude, look for Jesus everywhere, man. Wow. Okay, that is the reason. Gosh darn it. Thank you, God, for the wisdom and understanding and knowledge.
Yep. Amen.
Like, that literally just hit me, guys, like, right now in the moment. Like, you just saw my, like, revelation. Okay? So, if you don't believe that God speaks, there it was, right there.
It's like, it's like you think, what did Ezekiel do? He was just listening to, and you're like, oh, what did Jesus do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Ezekiel was flawed. He was a man. He was cursed by sin where Jesus
But
wasn't.
he didn't do all those sins for 390 years
No.
or 40 years or whatever. Like, he didn't do those.
And it's, if you, at this point, I'm actually reading in now 2 Kings. And it says,
I don't know where you're reading.
I got it marked here.
I'm currently reading in Revelation, so, you know.
1 Chronicles. But you see, after Solomon, it's like this guy, he did evil in the sight of the Lord. And he put up high places, and they worshipped false gods. And they kept on doing this. Mm-hmm. Then you'd see the odd time, he did good in the sight of the Lord, but they didn't take down the high places. Or the groves or whatever. They would make little gardens or whatever and grow and worship whatever god or goddess in there. And I just read, I can't remember his name. What?
You just, you're getting ahead of me here.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Because the thing is that we're going out of order from the way that the Bible was written and the way that certain things happened. And what he's talking about right now will be mentioned in this.
Oh.
and it's funny because we're not going in order. We're kind of jumping around, and like I had originally planned to jump back to Genesis and just keep going through. Yeah. But then I was like, no, I feel like God's telling me to do Ezekiel. And so we start here, and I are now
Genesis, and I read up to First Chronicles now.
Yeah, and it's so the things that are happening that have happened, the things that he's talking about here are because of the things that have happened already that we haven't covered, but we will because But I don't know. God wanted me to. I just really felt God wanted me to do this first instead of jumping all the way back to the beginning. I think the time is short for this, I think, and that is why I felt like an urgency.
No, there's no time like the present.
This is what I'm saying. Wow, boy, I'm just kind of flabbergasted by all of that. I guess we'll jump back in to verse 7. Unless, did you have anything else to add?
No, I was gonna go into slightly more detail, but you're like, don't get too ahead, so I'm gonna stop.
Oh yeah, because I'm like, you're starting to talk, and I'm like,
no.
Wait a minute, that sounds quite familiar. So maybe you can mention it a little bit later. Okay, so verse 7. Meanwhile, isn't that funny that they put the meanwhile after all of that side note? Meanwhile, keep staring at the siege of Jerusalem. Lie there with your arm bared and prophesy her destruction. I will tie you up with ropes so you won't be able to turn from side to side until the days of your siege have been completed. So now he's tied up with ropes, so he can't move from side to side. He's got to stay on that left or right side.
It's like fun. Oh, his arm would fall asleep.
Oh my gosh, I know. But and this whole time it says, lie there with your arm bared and prophesy her destruction. So this whole time he's lying there, he's out like this, prophesying. Wow. Poor guy is right. Now go and get some wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and emmer wheat, and mix them together in a storage jar. I wonder if that was like airtight or like, was it glass or plastic? Lock and lock?
It was like Tupperware.
Yeah. The famous Dead Sea Tupperware. Still good. Here we go. Bringing in Disney. Okay. Anyway. Use them to make the bread for yourself during the 390 days you will be lying on your side. How are you going to do that?
I don't know.
How's he going to make...
He maybe had helpers.
No. This doesn't talk about helpers. Maybe he made the bread beforehand. I don't know. I don't know. Ration this out to yourself, 8 ounces of food for each day, and eat it at set times. Then measure out a jar of water for each day, and drink it at set times. Now this jar here has a footnote.
Mm-hmm.
What does it say? A pint. About 1 pint of water per day. That is not much water.
No.
Wow.
Mine says it will be a sixth of a hin, and a hin's 1.5 gallons.
Okay. What? 1.5 gallons, a sixth of that. Okay. Sorry, I was just... Huh. Either way, that's not much water per day.
No.
Especially if you're, like, if you live out in the desert, you know? Like... Prepare and eat this food as you would barley cakes. While all the people are watching it, bake it over a fire using dried human dung as fuel, and then eat the bread. Another version I have says muffins. I just thought that was so cute. Anyway, then the Lord said, "This is how Israel will eat defiled bread in the Gentile lands to which I will banish them."
Mine says drive them.
Now, what did you have on your...
Okay, so...
Something about the bread.
Yeah. The grain bread. And it was talking about what's all in it. Protein is 14.71 grams. Fats in there are 2.94 grams. Carbohydrates 41.18 grams. And dietary fiber 11.8 grams. And vitamins and minerals I didn't look up, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be like, vitamin D and zinc and magnesium, which are very, very important for your body to function.
Yeah.
Plus probably other ones. But this is kind of like a well-rounded
Yeah.
bread.
Yeah. So he's not, he's getting his, like a square meal, like it's like a nice balanced diet, even though it's just a loaf of bread.
And he said...
Or a muffin. And he said what?
I lost my train of thought.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, muffins, they tend to do that, make you lose your train of thought. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So verse 14, then I said, O sovereign Lord, must I be defiled by using human dung? For I have never been defiled before. From the time I was a child until now, I have never eaten any animal that died of sickness or was killed by another animal. I have never eaten any meat forbidden by the law. All right, the Lord said, you may bake your bread or muffins with cow dung instead of human dung. Then he told me, Son of man, I will make food very scarce in Jerusalem. It will be weighed out with great care and eaten fearfully. The water will be rationed out drop by drop, and the people will drink it with dismay. Lacking food and water, people will look at one another in terror, and they will waste away under their punishment. That is not so nice to hear.
No.
But we're going to be like the poor Jewish people. They went through that a couple times, didn't they? Yeah. They had some famines, and then they had the World War II thing. And that was not nice, and to say the very least. And now we're looking at going into the end times, and famines are prevalent there.
Yeah.
So it won't be just the Jewish people that will be famining either. So
there's the boy.
There he is.
Say hello, Oscar.
Oscar, you're famous. You're on camera. He's like, what?
Does that mean I can get some chicken?
No. But if you let us get through this, we might be able to get you dinner on time. Okay. Chapter 5. A sign of the coming judgment. Son of man, take a sharp sword and use it as a razor to shave your head and beard. Use a scale to weigh the hair into 3 equal parts. Place a third of it at the center of your map of Jerusalem. After acting out the siege, burn it there. Scatter another third across your map and chop it with a sword. Scatter the last third to the wind, for I will scatter my people with the sword. Keep just a bit of the hair and tie it up in your robe. Then take some of the hairs out and throw them into the fire, burning them up. A fire will then spread from this remnant and destroy all of Israel. This is what the sovereign Lord says. This is an illustration of what will happen to Jerusalem. I placed her at the center of the nations, but she has rebelled against my regulations and decrees, and has been even more wicked than the surrounding nations. She has refused to obey the regulations and decrees I gave her to follow. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. You people have behaved worse than your neighbors and have refused to obey my decrees and regulations. I love that. God's like, you people.
You all did wrong.
Yeah. You have not even lived up to the standards of the nations around you. Ooh, that's not good. Therefore, I myself, the sovereign Lord, am now your enemy. Ooh. You do not want to be God's enemy.
Nope.
I will punish you publicly while all the nations watch. Yikes. Because of your detestable idols, I will punish you like I have never punished anyone before or ever will again. Whew.
Just think of Egypt.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was pretty bad.
That was pretty bad, but they were like heathens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like pagan god worshippers and things like that. These people are supposed to be
God's chosen, God worshippers, and I mean, and he's not having it, so he's giving them one big spiritual spanking is what he's doing. Yep.
And from the sounds of it, they deserve it. Parents will eat their own children, and children will eat their parents. I will punish you and scatter to the winds the few that survive. Well, that is not comfortable to read, I must say.
No.
I'm not about cannibalism, so you know. Wow. As surely as I live, says the sovereign Lord, I will cut you off completely. I will show you no pity at all, because you have defiled my temple with your vile images and detestable sins. 1/3 of your people will die in the city from disease and famine. 1/3 of them will be slaughtered by the enemy outside the city walls. And I will scatter 1/3 to the winds, chasing them with my sword. Then at last my anger will be spent, and I will be satisfied. And when my fury against them has subsided, all Israel will know that I, the Lord, have spoken to them in my jealous anger. So I will turn you into a ruin, a mockery in the eyes of the surrounding nations and to all who pass by. You will become an object of mockery and taunting and horror. You will be a warning to all the nations around you. They will see what happens when the Lord punishes a nation in anger and rebukes it, says the Lord. I will shower you with the deadly arrows of famine to destroy you. The famine will become more and more severe until every crumb of food is gone. And along with the famine, wild animals will attack you and rob you of your children. Oh, that's sad. Disease and war will stalk your land, and I will bring the sword of the enemy against you. I, the Lord, have spoken. That is...
Sounds like a fun time.
That is one nasty spiritual spanking, let me tell you. Like, right on the bare bottom. Like, that is a nasty one. Oh.
Sounds like he's using a cast iron pan and 4.
Yeah. I was like, what? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He thought a belt was bad.
Whew. But you know what? Like, he's their father, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes your father has to punish you.
Yep.
If you are disobedient. And, well, apparently they were disobedient for nearly 400 years. So, you know, I would say God's been, gosh darn, patient enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so, yeah. Wow. But it's interesting, too. I've always heard that whenever, because we're kind of tied to Israel, that whenever something bad like this happens to Israel, it happens to the United States, too. And kind of vice versa. And I feel like we're in for a decent walloping from God too, and not just the non-Christians but the Christians too. And I feel like that's kind of already begun in in some ways and will continue and get worse.
Yeah, we see it in Canada as well.
Yeah. Okay, chapter 6. Judgment against Israel's mountains. Now, this is the part you were why is he...
Poor mountains, they're just mountains. Well, it's like, why are you punishing the mountains?
Again, a message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, turn and face the mountains of Israel, and prophesy against them. Proclaim this message from the sovereign Lord against the mountains of Israel. This is of what the sovereign Lord says to the mountains and hills, and to the ravines and the valleys. I'm not so sure that's what the sovereign Lord said, but you know, I could be wrong. This is what the sovereign Lord says to the mountains and hills and to the ravines and valleys. I am about to bring war upon you, and I will smash your pagan shrines. All your altars will be demolished, and your places of worship will be destroyed. I will kill your people in front of your idols. I will lay your corpses in front of your idols, and I will scatter your bones around your altars. Wherever you live, there will be desolation, and I will destroy your pagan shrines. Your altars will be demolished, your idols will be smashed, and your places of worship will be torn down, and all the religious objects that you have made will be destroyed. The place will be littered with corpses, and you will know that I alone am the Lord. There's a lot of dead bodies lying around.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really funny, this portion here. Now, this supposedly didn't happen in Israel, but it's really interesting that this, I saw a documentary. Now, Lord only knows how true the documentary is. I realize that. But I did see a documentary that talked about Jesus as a boy when he was in Egypt. And it said that when he was in Egypt, like when he first got there, he was just a young boy, like maybe 2 or something. And when he first got there, and he walked into the this place in Egypt where all these like temples and idols and things were, and he pushed them all over, knocked them all down. And now you can't find that written in the Bible, but if the person that was doing the documentary, he was in Egypt, and they have this documented, like kind of by historians through generations, like word of mouth down through the years, and then they took him to the location, and you can see like all the ruins of the temples and the idols and things like that. It's just like lying there. And so, you know, Jesus, obviously, yeah, he's God, right? So he could have the supernatural strength to do this, right? But as a like 2 or 3 year old, you know, but all he would have to do, just like all, you know, in other portions of scripture, all he would have to do would be open his mouth and say something, speak the words, and everything would just crumble, you know? And so that's, that just reminded me of this portion right here from 1 to 7 in chapter 6.
Okay, I found it. It was in 2 Kings.
Oh, is that this part here remind you? Oh, there we go. God is so good.
His name was Hezekiah.
Oh, Hezekiah, yeah, okay.
So it says he destroyed all the high places, all the groves, destroyed all these idols. He even took messengers out and said, invite everybody who worships Baal and come to this temple. So they did. All these worship of Baals and their priests and everything. And they basically took all the soldiers and slaughtered everybody.
Wow.
They're like, yeah, come, it's going to be a great party. Then they can't leave this building, and they just put the sword to every one of them.
Wow.
Because it said usually, I'll find it here.
And isn't it cool how God just put this all together? I just find that so awesome. God is really cool.
Okay, it was 18. So it says, this is 2 Kings chapter 18 verse 3. And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, according to all that David his father did. So it said David was a man after God's heart. Then 4, it says he removed the high places and break the images and cut down the groves and break in pieces the brazen serpent that Moses had made. For unto those days the children of Israel did burn incense to it. And he called it, I'm going to say this completely wrong, Nehushtan. And yeah, so he destroyed all that, before him people, brought, you can do this, because Solomon started that. When he married other women from other nations, and they go, I want my God here. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And he compromised, where he said, nope. That's why God said, don't marry anybody else outside of Israel.
Yeah.
And he married women from other nations, and they brought their own gods, and he allowed it. And that was kind of like the downfall, where the false idols came in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or at least one of the places, anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not all of the places, but
I guess where the rulers of Israel are concerned.
Okay, yeah.
Because he did what his father did. What did his father do? Something horrible. And he followed in his footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
Worshipped the same gods, did the same practices, everything against God's commandments. And then they kept on doing that, and some, did better, but still didn't break down the high places.
Yeah.
And Hezekiah did. He's like, let's just destroy them all.
Yeah. Yeah, wow, that's cool. That's so neat, too, that, I didn't know that you had just recently read that.
Yeah, I read that
and it just came up.
Week.
Yeah, and it just came up with this, our next portion that we're going to cover when God, I feel like God told me, no, you need to start here.
And I was reading.
And how it, lined right up, yeah. Yeah, I think that's just so awesome. Thank you, God. Okay. Did you have anything more to add on that?
No, that was basically it. And just giving a bit of background from what we just read here.
Yeah. No, that's good. Okay. So, verse 8. But I will let a few of my people escape destruction, and they will be scattered among the nations of the world. Then when they are exiled among the nations, they will remember me. They will recognize how hurt I am by their unfaithful hearts and lustful eyes that long for their idols. Then at last they will hate themselves for all their detestable sins.
Mine says...
Wait, hold on till I finish this last verse.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. They will know that I alone am the Lord, and that I was serious when I said I would bring this calamity on them.
Mine says, but should go whoring after their idols.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, essentially. Yeah. And it's sad, right? I honestly felt sorry for God when reading these few verses here. because the Israelites, the Jewish people, they were, and this is happening today too. It's not just back then. Like the same spirit is happening in amongst the Christian people.
Yeah.
Of the day, and I honestly felt bad for God when reading this, and it's where was that verse that started?
9.
Yeah, 9. Then, when they are exiled among the nations, they will remember me. See, like he was forgotten about. They will recognize how hurt I am by their unfaithful hearts and lustful eyes that long for their idols. They're wanting their idols over God. Like how many times do people want their phone over reading a chapter in the Bible?
Yeah.
Like
see, what I didn't don't understand. The Israelites leave Egypt to come to the Red Sea. God parts it. They walk on dry land. It's like we have a God who just parted the sea. Mm-hmm. Then they got fed every day.
Yeah.
Every day. They didn't have to store any food. There's gonna be, when you wake up in the morning, you just need to pick it up off the ground.
Yeah.
And during the day, they
were probably like, "Oh, I ain't eating off the floor."
10-second rule.
10-second rule, exactly. No, but from what I have heard, from what I have, how I understand it to be, the manna that you're referring to was like high quality, like bread from heaven kind of thing. Like, here it is, I'm giving you awesome stuff.
Yeah, but every day you wake up, it's like, what are you gonna eat? Just bread I found off the floor. But then at night he was a pillar of fire.
Yeah.
So they weren't in complete darkness. And during the day, he was a cloud, so the heat of the sun didn't, toil on them. And they go, you know what? We're at this mountain. Let's take all our gold and make a golden calf and worship it. Like, did you forget so easily?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you didn't go without anything.
Yeah.
And it's like they were like first-hand seeing it. It's like me waking up in the morning and there's this bread on the table. Bacon and eggs and fresh coffee, and all I had to do is sit down and eat it. And
you'd be like, somebody broke into our house and left some food on the table. Look at this. Because Lord knows I wouldn't have done that. No, I'm just kidding.
But so they had first-hand. You think they would tell their kids, hey, and keep on, you can't forget this. But it's like right away. That's why they, wandered for, 40 years.
The 40 years, yeah.
Because all the grumbling, complaining, and turning away from God, when there was only 2 scouts come back with good news. Mm-hmm. And the rest, we can't do this. Do you know what your God did?
Yeah.
Do you remember the plagues of Egypt that didn't affect you?
And those were the only 2 that they didn't forget, and they were the only 2 that were blessed enough to go into that promised land, cross over and go in. Yeah. All the others died.
Yeah, because it's like, that's why they wandered for the 40 years. It's like, until everybody in the old generation is dead, then you can. It's like a fresh restart. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you think they would have written down in some parchment saying, hey, don't forget this.
Yeah. Yeah. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Clap your hands in horror and stamp your feet. Cry out because of the detestable sins that the people of Israel have committed. Now they are going to die from war and famine and disease. Disease will strike down those who are far away in exile. War will destroy those who are nearby. and anyone who survives will be killed by famine. So at last I will spend my fury on them. They will know that I am the Lord when their dead lie scattered among their idols and altars, on every hill and mountain, and under every green tree, and every great shade tree, the places where they offered sacrifices to their idols. I will crush them and make their cities desolate, from the wilderness in the south to Riblah in the north. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Okay, what does yours say? That place?
Dibleth. I'm going to look that up because...
Okay, right here. It says in my footnote, as in some Hebrew manuscripts, most Hebrew manuscripts read Diblah. And mine says Riblah.
I just looked on Google here. It said Diblah. It was a town about 50 miles or 83 kilometers south of Hamath. In Ezekiel, this place was northern limit of God's judgment that were to fall on Palestine for its odious adultery.
Oh, they're after Palestine in this one. They never mention Palestine in all of these chapters. It's only talking about the Jewish people.
Well, I can't remember what Roman leader.
Is that just the
the Google.
The Google making you think things that aren't so?
There's a Roman leader. He renamed, I think, Judah Palestine. And he just... to, be disrespectful to the Jews.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of him.
So if that's the case, then when he's punishing Judah for the 40 years or whatever it was that they had to lay on his side for 40 years. So is that what he's referring to? They're actually talking about Judah as opposed to the Palestine that we think of today.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's garbage.
Yes, it is.
And very confusing for, we've got it. We figured it out. But if there is just some random person that doesn't know that background or whatever, they're just going by what Google says. And then Google, God's after Palestine. When that's not the case. God's actually after Judah. And that Roman emperor or whatever just named it
here's
something different out of spite.
Where's this Riblah located? The town of Riblah on the Syrian side of the border with Lebanon was in biblical times located on the northern frontier of the land of Canaan.
Okay. Huh.
So a pretty far stretch. His judgment was really far.
Yeah. Yeah, and it even talked about, with God's judgment, the people that were exiled were going to be stricken down with disease that were far away in exile. So it was reaching, God's judgment here is reaching far and wide, all y'all going to get it.
Yeah, it's what popped into my head. But Fiddler on the Roof at the end. It's I
love that movie.
It's a very good movie. I like it too. My ringtone is kind of the theme music in it. Mm-hmm. But they were kicked out. They're like, you have to go.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were going to America, but they're getting scattered. They were scattered. Mm-hmm. Look at World War II.
Yeah.
They were scattered.
Yeah.
And the ones
it happened
that didn't,
many times throughout.
And the ones that didn't ended up either getting killed or in camps. And what happened in camps, they were famine, pestilence,
Yeah.
death.
Yeah.
It's like, holy
Yeah, that's
cow.
the same.
All these things.
All the same things every time. And it happened multiple times throughout history. Like, you would think that they would, the Jewish people aren't stupid.
No.
And they're not, they're no stranger to writing things down and studying up and, like, making, having the knowledge and the history and all that. They're not any stranger to that. So, like...
You think they'd be like, oh, guys, look at this. This is our history.
If history repeats itself, and in this case so many times, like, pay attention. Like, how many times does God have to, spank your butt? Like,
apparently a lot of times, but...
Like, goodness. Oh, yeah, wow. But...
When you said in 11, like, clap your hands.
Oh, yeah.
Mine says smite with thine hand. It's like clap, smite. It's like, I'm gonna smite you. You think, more forceful.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was a little weird how it was worded. It's probably would have been worded better the way you had, or similar to...
In 11, it says, thus saith the Lord, smite with thine hand and stamp with thy foot, and say, alas, for all the evil abominations of the house of Israel. For they shall fall by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I like that smite.
Yeah. I actually like that better. I like the sound. I mean, I probably would have liked it better in like a New King James version as opposed to the King James, but, But I like that way that it's worded there better than clap your hands in horror and stamp your feet.
You're just like, yay!
No, but you do it in horror. So...
But it's like, when you clap, you're usually like...
Yeah.
It's a happy thing.
Like, I guess I was thinking... How would you clap your hands in horror? Like...
See that...
Like, if you're maybe surprised by, like, scared surprised by something, and you're like... like...
But
I don't know. Like, how would you... Yours makes more sense to me.
Because usually clapping, that's usually on a positive thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Like... I just don't know. But anyway, all right, getting into chapter 7. So this, when I read this, I was like, oh man, God sure has our number of like what's going on in the world. Like, this may have happened back then, but it's happening right now.
Well, it says there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
What's happening right now in Ezekiel happened in the days of Noah.
Yeah. And it's happening now.
Yeah, and it happened
Same
then.
stuff.
And we're
and it's funny because all of the same stuff is happening, right? Mm-hmm. Each time, and all of the same punishments. God's like, well, okay, here we go again. Time number 17, or whatever. Okay. So chapter 7, the coming of the end. Then this message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, this is what the sovereign Lord says to Israel. The end is here. Wherever you look, east, west, north, or south, your land is finished. No hope remains, for I will unleash my anger against you. I will call you to account for all your detestable sins. I will turn my eyes away and show no pity. I will repay you for all your detestable sins. Then you will know that I am the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. Disaster after disaster is coming your way. The end has come. It has finally arrived. Your final doom is waiting, O people of Israel. The day of your destruction is dawning. The time has come. The day of trouble is near. Shouts of anguish will be heard in the mountains, not shouts of joy. Soon I will pour out my fury on you and unleash my anger against you. I will call you to account for all your detestable sins. I will turn my eyes away and show no pity. I will repay you for your detestable sins. Then you will know that it is I, the Lord, who is striking the blow. The day of judgment is here. Your destruction awaits. The people's wickedness and pride has blossomed to full flower. Their violence has grown into a rod that will beat them for their wickedness. None of these proud and wicked people will survive. All their wealth and prestige will be swept away. Yes, the time has come. The day is here. Buyers should not rejoice over bargains, nor sellers grieve over losses, for all of them will fail under my terrible anger. Even if the merchants survive, they will never return to their business. For what God has said applies to everyone. It will not be changed. Not one person whose life is twisted by sin will ever recover. The desolation of Israel in verse 14. The trumpet calls Israel's army to mobilize, but no one listens. For my fury is against them all. There is war outside the city, and disease and famine within. Those outside the city walls will be killed by my enemy's swords. Those inside the city will die of famine and disease. The survivors who escape to the mountains will moan like doves, weeping for their sins. Their hands will hang limp, their knees will be weak as water. They will dress themselves in burlap. Horror and shame will cover them. They will shave their heads in sorrow and remorse. They will throw their money in the streets, tossing it out like worthless trash. Their silver and gold won't save them on the day of the Lord's anger. It will neither satisfy nor feed them, for their greed can only trip them up. They were proud of their beautiful jewelry and used it to make detestable idols and vile images. Therefore, I will make all their wealth disgusting to them. I will give it as plunder to foreigners, to the most wicked of nations, and they will defile it. I will turn my eyes from them as these robbers invade and defile my treasured land. Prepare chains for my people, and the land is bloodied by terrible crimes. Jerusalem is filled with violence. I will bring the most ruthless of nations to occupy their homes. I will break down their proud fortresses and defile their sanctuaries. Terror and trembling will overcome my people. They will look for peace, but not find it. Calamity will follow calamity. Rumor will follow rumor. They will look in vain for a vision from the prophets. They will receive no teaching from the priests and no counsel from the leaders. The king and the prince will stand helpless, weeping in despair, and the people's hands will tremble with fear. I will bring on them the evil that they have done to others, and they will receive the punishment they so richly deserve. Then they will know that I am the Lord. So that is serious, and that is not only coming, but I feel like it's here.
Okay, when a few times from 4 to end of 7, they're talking about shaving their heads.
Okay.
And I've been couldn't remember it, so I looked it up. It's an act of mourning. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna shit. It's when it says you're gonna beginning of 6. Or when was it? Oh, beginning of 5. Pardon me. And it says, "Take thee a sharp knife, take thee a barber's razor, and cause it to pass thine head upon thy beard." So they're shaving everything off. Mm-hmm. And it's like, so mourning, and it's in a few of that time. So it's like you're gonna mourn. You're gonna be in, all this happening. What's gonna happen? You're gonna shave your head.
Yeah.
But all this is like, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna punish you until you get that I'm God. That I'm your God, and you are gonna worship me. Mm-hmm. It's like you broke the covenant. And I'm going to make sure you realize that and come back to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, holy cow. Yeah, I'll bring the sword and famine and pestilence. And all this horrible stuff's going to happen to you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to scatter you all about the earth. But he still has, it's like, some of you will live. Like, doesn't completely destroy them.
But I think chapter 7 in its entirety is not only did it happen back then, but it's happening right now, and it's going to continue to happen, and it's going to get worse.
Yep.
Until the end, Fine. And it's funny too that I'm also currently reading Revelation, like you had something that lined up, and that I have something that lines up too.
But we're going to see this more and more every place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With the idol worship and even like people not everybody even recognizes that they treat certain things as an idol. Like a phone is an idol, a TV, your Xbox, your whatever. As long as
your favorite sports player.
Exactly. If it pulls you away from God, spending time with Him in Bible reading, in prayer, in Bible study, in church, in whatever. If it takes you away from God, and you put it before Him, then that's an idol.
Yeah, and again, it's not saying you can't watch football on Sunday.
Yeah. Or
use a cell phone or play on your Xbox or watch your movies, but God first.
Spend time with God first, yeah. Yeah. And that's something that I've been striving to do. I know, for tithing or whatever, how people will say, it says, this is in the Old Testament here, to give your first and your best. And so, when I wake up in the morning, I like to try to spend, the first bit of my, I might not get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and do this because your girl is a night owl, so
Yep.
But when I wake up, I'm gonna get my coffee and I'm gonna sit down and for maybe a couple hours or whatever and spend time with the Lord, because in prayer and Bible reading, Bible study, just and I want to do that. It's not like I feel obligated to. I enjoy it, and I feel like you need to get to that point, that you are happy to give your first and your best time, of each and every day, to God.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is, and then it talks about not only the idols, but it talks about pride and wicked people. None of the proud and the wicked people will survive. Boom. Well, y'all celebrating pride out there. You gonna die. Just saying. Yeah, there it is again too. Shaving their heads in remorse and sorrow. and dressing in burlap.
That'd be irritating.
Yes. But you know what? Because like I said, I'm in the book of Revelation right now, like currently reading and on my own time. And it talks about the two witnesses, right? Which, by the way, who do you think they are? And so it talks about the two witnesses, and they're going to be dressed in burlap. And I was like, ooh. I mean, so put a potato sack on, like, ew, itchy. Like, even just reading it, I was like, ugh, kind of like scooching around in my...
It's like you just get a potato bag and, like, cut 2 armholes and a head hole and you just put it on.
Yeah.
What is it, like, kind of like the paper bag princess?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I loved this part too. They will look for peace, but not find it. Calamity will follow calamity. Rumor will follow rumor. And isn't that funny? Like, you hear all the rumors flying about different celebrities and different, stuff with Donald Trump and, all these things. And then there's going to be rumors about, the end times and what's going to happen and how it's going to happen and when it's going to happen and all the things. Yeah, but that verse there, that just hits me. They will look for peace, but not find it.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And it's funny in Revelations, it says men will search for death, but not find it. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do you not find death? It's like, I jump off a high building and I hit the ground, I'm toast. Does that mean that won't happen?
Yes.
You just bounce off and you just feel pain and you get up.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm not trying to encourage or give anybody ideas, but there's lots of ways to find death.
Yep.
And it's like you'll look for it and not find it.
Yeah.
Because you think, I'll have peace if I'm dead. And you won't get that peace.
Nope. You're going to get hurt. And you're going to have to spend time in the hospital. But you ain't going to die.
But, to me, I try to that's intense.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, holy cow, if you just think about it like, huh.
Yeah. Yeah, this stuff is happening, guys, and it's no joke. It is real, and it is coming for you.
And if you are a Bible-believing Christian, please tell your friends, tell your family.
Yeah. Or if you're not, and you still, were watching this video and found it interesting, share it with your friends and your family. Because, yeah.
And even if
everybody needs to know.
You know what? If you have a phone, you can have a Bible.
Yeah.
There's
the Bible app.
Yep.
You can put it on like a dark mode or something too. They have where the screen is black, or there's comfort view and whatnot. Nuts. And there's I think 70 plus different versions that you can read from. It's called the Bible app. And you can get it in the Play Store.
Just off the top here, there's King James Version, NIV, NKJV, New King James, NLT, ESV, CEV, ASV,
CSB,
MSG.
MSG, yeah, the Message, which is a paraphrase Bible.
And it says English versions. It says
NASB, NASB.
They have 73 here.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different, and there's even ones in different languages. I know there's a Spanish one on there, and
there is English, French, España, so I guess Spanish from, I would guess, Spain. The one from Latin America. Chinese from Taiwan, Chinese from China, Korean, Portuguese, Arabic, German, Russian, Persian, Ukrainian, Vietnamese, Romanian, Nepal, Punjabi,
so many.
Italian, Polish.
So many different ones.
So it doesn't matter what language you speak, it probably is going to cover it.
Yeah, and they're translating the Bible into brand new languages all the time. So, so if it's not listed there currently, it will be eventually.
And the neat thing is, if you're driving in your car or don't have time to sit and read, it could be read for you.
Yeah. Once you put...
Helps my volume's on.
The angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit.
And they don't always sound that with that voice. There's different voices for different versions. Yeah. So that one, you had it on the King James, right?
King James, yep.
Yeah. So that Edgar Allan Poe type reader was reading from the King James. The NLT and the Message version do not sound that way.
Don't. But it's a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
You have a Bible on the go.
And there's Bible studies and devotionals and
you can have
prayer groups and all kinds of different things.
So
and
check it out.
You can connect socially with your friends and church group and things like that on there as well. So there's a lot of different options for the Bible app. So yeah, that's a very good tool.
Very good. We both have it on our phones. So
yeah, I use it all the time. So did you have anything more to add on any of this?
No, it
was very heavy tonight.
There's a lot of death by the sword.
Yeah,
and famine
and the sword isn't always if it's referring to God. The sword could be God speaking, and as opposed to.
But I think all these times were the actual
wielding. Well, yeah, but I'm talking if it's God using the sword, he could just be speaking it.
Speaking it, of course.
Yeah, as opposed to some gigantic sword that he's wielding. Yeah.
You know what just popped into my head? The modern day Romeo and Juliet with the Leonardo DiCaprio. Mm-hmm. But they had guns.
It's so funny because
they had the guns, but they had Claymore.
Oh yeah, it was written.
Yeah, it was written. It's a Claymore or rapier or whatever.
Yeah.
It's that's kind of funny.
It is.
That is old. That was 98.
It's no, I think it was earlier than that. I want to say 96 or 97 maybe.
I want to look that up. I thought it was 98.
We gonna find out.
96.
96. I thought it was a little earlier because then it was a year or two later and he did Titanic.
Okay.
Yeah. That was such a good one. I always liked that one. But then I love Leah, so...
Claire Danes in that?
Claire Danes, yeah, she's Juliet.
I just saw bits and pieces.
Oh, we need to watch it. I gotta educate this man.
Do we need to watch it?
We need to watch it. But yeah, so next time, we are done with this heavy one for tonight. The whole book of Ezekiel is decently heavy though.
Yeah.
So it's not full of the warm fuzzies and all that. So, but it's good to know, and it's good to have, you know. And it was so cool how God lined everything up, like
Well, we were both
reading, and how he wanted me to read from Ezekiel to start in there, and as opposed to Genesis again, you know.
Oh, perfect timing.
Yeah. If you follow the nudges that God leads, you know, he will lay it all out nicely, how I said to you before, like a nice cloth napkin laying out in your lap, you know. And and that's, I feel like, exactly what happened here today. So anyway, next time we will start off in chapter 8.
Alrighty. Yeah.
Well, we are signing off for tonight. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.